Hello, everybody. This is Joseph P. Farrell with news and views from the Nefarium on Thursday, April 12th, 2018. I'm still a bit under the weather. I'm going to go ahead and have today's news and views, and I am planning to do tomorrow's vid chat. That will be the North America, South America, Pacific Rim timed vid chat at 7 p.m. So if you are new and have been waiting for a vid chat, tomorrow's the day. I apologize again, folks, for having been sick. I want to thank everybody for your prayers, your good thoughts, for all the articles you've sent in as well over the last 2 weeks. It has been really, really eye-opening to see everything that everybody's following out there. Today, I don't know how else to put it. I'm stunned. I'm shocked that the leadership of the West appears to be one of the most criminally insane, arrogant groups of people on the planet. The talk now, of course, is over an intervention. I just heard a story before activating this feed that President Trump will be meeting with the National Security Council later this afternoon to decide what to do about Syria. And I have to be very honest here. We are dealing with a case that, as far as I can tell, has absolutely no evidence whatsoever and even less motivation. But we're going to get to that. I've linked an article from Zero Hedge that kind of summarizes where I'm at today, what I'm thinking. This is a 4-page article. I want to read a few paragraphs from the very beginning of this, and then from the very end, and then comment very briefly and make a recommendation. From the very beginning of this article, 4 paragraphs here, quote, "The initial U.S. government assessment of the chemical attack in Syria has concluded that some type of nerve agent was used. However, the specific agent is unknown." Government sources told Reuters, adding that the U.S. government, quote, "had not yet conclusively determined whether the attack was carried out by President Bashar al-Assad's Syrian government forces," unquote. So there it is. We don't know what it is. We don't know who really used it, although, of course, we're blaming it on the Syrians. And then, of course, behind that, the Russians. Continuing. "The revelation makes Israel's Monday morning strike on Syrian military positions known to house Russian forces all the more troubling, as this appears to be yet another knee-jerk rush by the West to conduct major foreign policy maneuvers based on contested events before all the facts are in." Is this sounding a little bit like the Skripal case? Following last April's Khan Shaykhun chemical attack in Syria, President Trump notably launched 59 Tomahawk missiles within 48 hours of the incident, only half of which incidentally hit their target. Conflicting reports pouring in from several sources over key details. Bear in mind that nearly all the information and physical evidence available from the attack site in Syria has come from anti-Assad sources. That would be people like ISIS and Daesh, the radical jihadists who the West are supporting. It doesn't get any goofier, folks. Anti-Assad sources linked to Al-Qaeda affiliate al-Nusra, which controls the area. This includes the so-called White Helmets, who are opposition surrogates. The established narrative derives from this material, as well as from bipartisan assertions of Assad's quote-unquote certain guilt, even from nominally liberal Democrats, which are being presented as fact. The West has similarly imposed a variety of sanctions on Russia after determining that the Kremlin was behind the March 4th poisoning of former double agent Sergei Skripal in Salisbury in the United Kingdom. In fact, the chief scientist from the United Kingdom's Portendown Military Laboratory Facility, Gary Aitkenhead, told Sky News in a statement which was later retracted that they had been unable to prove that the Novichok nerve agent used to poison Sergei and Yulia Skripal came from Russia. So in other words, blame before all the facts are in, and then formulate policy, which could lead to major international complications or a world war. This is insanity, folks. These people are insane. Now, one final little notice here. Russia says the chemical attack is a fabrication. Unsurprisingly, Russian officials say they've found no trace of chemical weapons use while searching through Syria's Douma region, and say photos of victims posted by the white helmets are fabrications, according to Russia's defense ministry. So we've had no conclusive evidence in the Skripal case, and yet that was used to ratchet up tensions with Russia, kick out a bunch of Russian diplomats in the United Kingdom, France, and the United States. We have no evidence that there is anything similar going on in Syria's case. And let me point something else out. In Syria's case, they were winning in the region that the attack supposedly came. And we're being asked to believe that Syria would jeopardize its position by launching a chemical weapons attack. All right. In other words, Syria has no motivation to do this. And for that matter, neither does Russia. So again, folks, I'm smelling a huge lie. I'll just put it right out there, a huge lie. I think this is a false flag being used to ratchet up tensions again. And there is but one target in all of this, and that's ultimately Russia. Folks, the people of the West, the West's leadership, I think now it's quite self-evident these are criminally insane people. I am utterly shocked and appalled that President Trump would go along with this stuff. I was beginning to get a very bad vibe once Bolton was approved. Of course, we know who Bolton is. He was part of the cheerleading team for the American intervention in Iraq after 9/11. So none of this is surprising to me. But what's it really all about? I suspect, folks, that there are several reasons behind this, but there are two looming large ones. One is going to make sense to a lot of you. The other one probably won't. The one that's going to make sense to a lot of you is the fact that China, of course, has launched its petro yuan, and Russia and China have been trading gold for oil for quite some time and looking to expand that trade around the region. This is a direct assault on the financial hegemony of the West, and in particular, the dollar reserve currency status. Now, this is not going to change overnight. This is not something that's going to disappear overnight. So forget the fear porn, people. I think that we're looking at a situation that is a gradual transitionary process. But the powers that be, the kleptocracy in the West, simply are not going to relent and give up power. At a much deeper level, I think this is a cultural phenomenon, and I think the cultural phenomenon that we're dealing with is a millennium-old Western visceral hatred of anything or any type of civilization that is basically a Christian civilization, but not Western. Idem est, the civilization of Eastern Europe and Russia. I think this is a very, very old agenda and a very old phenomenon. And it's almost reached the stage of an unreasoning, irrational fear. You see this with the Russia hacking the election narrative and everything else. This demonization of Russia, folks, is very frightening, because if you go online, and I'm going to recommend that you do, watch the Russian ambassador's response to Nikki Haley just yesterday in the UN Security Council, and also watch Russian television and their coverage of this whole thing. And what you'll be seeing is disbelief on the part of the Russians that they are being this demonized and this vilified in the Western press. So again, folks, I don't see any good way through this problem without a bit of prayer. And if you're not the praying sort, think good thoughts, because this is just out of control, utterly crazy, and criminally insane as far as I'm concerned. We're looking at a big, huge false flag operation. And don't forget that Russia's already demonstrated some very sophisticated jamming technology in recent years. I would not be a bit surprised that the previous missile strikes of last year in Syria, many of which went off target, that this was the result of Russia electronic interference and jamming. So this could get messy in a big hurry, because Russia has already indicated that they will retaliate if there is any damage caused to their equipment, to their soldiers, and so on. So, folks, this is very, very, very bad. Again, we do have members vid chat tomorrow. I'm still kind of struggling through the illness that I had a week ago, so I'm not planning to change the schedule tomorrow, but if things should get worse, please check with the schedule. I'll post a notice or something if I'm planning to cancel. I doubt I will, but if I do have to cancel, I will post notices on the website forum and then again on my Facebook page. That's it. Bad news from the Nefarium, folks. We have a criminally insane class of leaders in the West, and it's time, quite frankly, just to throw them out. And that's it for news and views. We'll see you next week, everybody. Bye-bye, and God bless.